Hi everybody, it's Christopher and welcome to Life's Not Over, It Just Looks Different on YouTube. In today's video, I thought it was time to answer more questions about my experience with CVI and sight loss in general. So let's get into the questions. First question, what do faces look like to you? This is a question I've actually had a fair bit, and the answer about faces is a bit complicated. It is partly determined by how far or near the person is to me, but when I look at a person's face, I can see the general shape of their head and their face. I can see their nose, I can see their mouth, I can see their chin, I can see where their eyes should be, but I can't actually see their eyes unless I'm really close, at which point that's a bit too intimate for most people. But the funny thing about CVI is that my brain will not put all of those things together to allow me to say, yes, that person is Bob, or yes, that person is Sue. It's like having all of the puzzle pieces there, but not being able to form the puzzle to put it all together and to actually know who it is that I'm seeing, unless I hear their voice and hear them speak. Next question. What colors do you see? Color recognition has been an interesting one for me because when I first had my stroke, I saw basically shades of gray everywhere I looked. And slowly the world started to turn into a bit more sepia tones, sort of a yellowish, brownish, blackish thing, like old-fashioned photographs. And the first color that I actually remember being able to see clearly and recognize clearly was yellow. And where I saw it was as I was riding in a car and I saw the yellow line in the middle of the road as I was traveling in the passenger seat. I was not the one doing the driving. That was my first color that I was able to see. And then from there, I also soon after was able to recognize red and blue. And for the longest time, I did really well with the three primary colors, not so well with secondary colors like a green, an orange, or a purple. And those have come along for me, but even now, depending on the lighting, depending on the shade, sometimes I still see those secondary colors as one of their primary shades. So sometimes when I look at a purple, I see red or blue. But lighting plays into that a lot, and also the shade of the purple would play into that a lot. Did your other senses kick in automatically? This is a question I get in pretty much every presentation that I do, and very often, even just when I'm out in public and talking to people about sight, if I happen to mention that I'm vision impaired, it's a question that comes into the conversation usually pretty quickly. And the answer that I like to give is no, my senses did not automatically get better on their own. It took time, it took practice, and it took using them more often. One of the ways that I sort of tell it when I'm doing presentations, I kind of make a bit of a joke about it in that our brains are very smart and they're basically running our whole body. But the one thing that our brains don't seem to do is a system check to say, oh, wait, the sight's not working, we better ramp up the other senses. That doesn't happen automatically. We have to sort of force the system to do it, use our sense of smell more, use our sense of touch more, and use our hearing a lot more. How do guide dogs know when to cross the street? Do they know what the crossing signals are? This is a question I actually get fairly often, especially when I'm doing presentations in schools, because very often a lot of the presentations that I do are talking to grade 1 and 2 kids who are just learning about the 5 senses. So when I'm in those classrooms, the question of guide dogs almost always comes up. And then from that, in the discussion about guide dogs, I usually get asked about how guide dogs know when it's safe to cross the street. And the answer is it's a team effort between the guide dog and the guide dog handler. The guide dog doesn't know a red light from a green light from a yellow light, and it doesn't know the difference in the walk signal. what's happening is the handler is listening for the traffic pattern and for the audible pedestrian signal, if there is one, and the handler will cue the dog when to go based on what they're hearing. And if the dog sees a car coming, like if the person happens to get it wrong, or maybe somebody's turning right when they shouldn't be, anything like that, the dog is trained to disobey and to not go. But as long as it's safe to proceed, the handler will cue the dog and then the dog will move forward. Are all blind people nice? This is a question that initially when I heard it caught me off guard, but I've had this question a few times, and the simple answer is no. Not all blind people are nice. We are human, and we have good days and we have bad days, and we have things that annoy us and we have things that trouble us. So it's we're just humans. It's not uncommon that you might find a blind person who's having a bad day and maybe they're a little grumpy that day. Or you might see somebody who has vision loss who is having a very good day and they're really happy. Where it gets interesting, and I've actually had a few of my friends with sight loss tell me this, is that even when they are having a bad day, they sort of force themselves in certain situations to be nice because they don't want to give the perception. If they're encountering somebody or they're having an interaction with somebody that's actually kind of frustrating for them, they try really hard to be nice because they don't want that person they're interacting with to walk away thinking that all blind people are grumpy or mad or angry or whatever. So I've had friends tell me that even when they weren't really in the mood or really in a mindset to be nice, they've sort of forced themselves to do so that they didn't give the perception that all blind people are angry people. That's it for all the questions I've had in this video. I really do appreciate everybody who's asked these questions and allowed me to answer them. If you want to check out some of the other videos where I've been answering questions, you'll find them in the YouTube channel. And also, if you do have questions about sight loss or about cortical visual impairment, feel free to drop me an email at christopher@lifesnotover.ca. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who does watch these videos. If you wouldn't mind hitting like down below to let YouTube know that you like these videos, I'd really appreciate that as well. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day.